The Restoration seems inevitable to us because we know it happened, but it was very much a surprise to much of Britain, and it only took place after the death of the man over my shoulder, Oliver Cromwell. Cromwell's death in 1658 left a vacuum at the head of power in Britain, and particularly it exposed and revealed Cromwell's unique position as somebody who had the support of both Parliament and the army. Nobody else had that, and this gave the Royalists their chance to bring back the Stuart dynasty. The last real attempt at doing this had ended in disaster in 1651, when the future Charles II had marched at the head of a very reluctant and demoralised Scottish army down into England to claim his birthright. It had ended in total disaster in one of the great defeats of the civil wars, the Battle of Worcester. And this was actually, Cromwell said, one of his hardest fought battles, but it was one that really knocked the Stuart cause for 9 years. Now, I mentioned that the Restoration was far from inevitable, and in fact, even 2 or 3 months before it happened, in the House of Commons, the idea of going back to the monarchy was firmly rejected. But once Cromwell had died, the power that he had exerted just slipped away, and the English in particular became most frightened of the discord that erupted in the wake of Cromwell's demise. And there were riots, there were problems across the country, and in the end, it was thought sensible to go back to a form of authority that the people of England understood, the monarchy. Charles II came back, and on his birthday, his 30th birthday, was welcomed into London. His coronation actually took place in 1661, and it was an extraordinary time in England because after all of the diversity of the two different causes that had caused havoc, really, for the 2 previous decades, everyone suddenly celebrated like crazy that this king was going to unify the country again. And Charles came back on the condition that he wouldn't look for retribution against those who had fought against his father and their family, and also that he'd respect whatever property changes had happened during the Commonwealth years. A lot of Royalist lands had been confiscated. Charles insisted that royal lands were returned to their previous owners and the church, but the rest he let go. And this is really what happened. It was a very peaceful end to the bloodiest civil war, the bloodiest war, actually, that Britain's been involved in. Even the First World War, which we think of as this great bloodbath, doesn't compare to the bloodshed suffered by the percentage of population who died during the civil wars. So the Restoration of 1660 really was a full stop in one of the worst episodes that we've ever had to tolerate as a nation.